Hi everybody. First of all, thanks for having me and for giving me the opportunity to talk about my journey with tuberous sclerosis. There we are. So yes, TSC and me, that's what I've titled it. So what I'm going to do is take you on a journey through my, as I see it, pretty ordinary life. First of all, we're going to go back in time, and this is all going to help you understand why I'm standing here today. So 11th of January 1978, that's the day I was born. 11th of July 1979, my brother's delighted I've put this picture of him in, wearing dungarees. It was the 70s, so please bear with me. And another photo that someone's equally delighted about, my husband. This was the day we met, and I won't point him out on there because it's quite an embarrassing photo, I think. That was the day I graduated from the University of Bristol with a degree in modern languages. Oh. And that was the day we got married. Very happy memories of that day. This is when our eldest son Benjamin joined us, and Thomas, who you've just heard mentioned before I came on stage. Things start to get a bit bleak from then, to be perfectly honest with you. 14th of February 2012, that was the day I first noticed Thomas was behaving oddly. He was 5 months old and he started doing this. Progressively more and more, the periods when he was doing it were longer and longer. He screamed a lot as well. Newborn babies do scream, but this was different. There were 3 consecutive nights in this week where I had to take him out in the car and drive him around the local area in a bid to calm him down, get him to sleep, take him out of the house so that everyone else could have some rest. It was a difficult time. On the 17th of February, I took him to the first doctor because I wasn't happy with what was happening and I thought there was something wrong. He was an out-of-hours GP. I described what was happening. I described Thomas's behaviour as like an exaggerated startle reflex. He asked me if I had any more children, realised I was probably quite tired, and dismissed Thomas's behaviour as colic and teething. So I went away and I thought, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe I'm just tired, not getting much sleep, 2 small children. But it carried on. The behaviour, the screaming, the sleepless nights, the stress. So on the 22nd of February, I took him to see our GP. Now by this point, thank goodness for the invention of smartphones, I'd managed to take a video of Thomas with one of his episodes. She took one look at it and said, yeah, that's not normal. I'll refer you to the local paediatrician. But instead of saying, go now, she said, I'll write a letter, they'll be in touch. So I went home. And I did what any self-respecting mother in the 21st century did and resorted to the doctor of Google. A little bit of research, and I found a video on YouTube of a child about Thomas's age presenting with infantile spasms. I knew straight away that was what Thomas was doing. I obviously didn't want to believe it, but that was kind of what I thought was happening, and it needed sorting. So I didn't really know where else to turn. I went to my local hospital's accident and emergency casualty department, and we were admitted straight away. The paediatrician there was brilliant. He knew immediately that Thomas was having infantile spasms, and he put him on vigabatrin. But he did say something, and this day is doubly significant because of it being the day he was admitted to hospital. It was also the day that my husband and I first heard the words Tuberous Sclerosis Complex. Obviously, it's not something you hear of every day in life. It was explained to us that because Thomas had infantile spasms, there was a very slim chance that he would have this very rare, potentially devastating genetic disorder. It was a lot to take in, the information of what it could all mean, but we were told the chance was very slim, but nevertheless, he had to have an MRI scan to rule it out. Unfortunately, it was the weekend, and the NHS in England is sort of not fully functioning on a weekend, so we had to wait till the Monday to be transferred to a different hospital where he could have the MRI scan. He had that on the 28th of February, and then we had to wait until the 29th of February, which ironically to me was World Rare Disease Day, when he was actually diagnosed. To say the bottom fell out of our worlds is quite dramatic, but I don't think it's an understatement. At that stage, we only knew that he had nodules in his brain and epilepsy. It had become apparent that he was already developmentally delayed, but then we were faced with the prospect of kidney scans, EEGs, liver scans, the risk of behavioural difficulties, the fact he's got one of the most difficult to control forms of epilepsy. All that information put on you when you're at a very vulnerable point in your life is just far too much to deal with. And we reached out to the charity, and I've got to say, I'm not really here to do a PR spiel for the charity, but they have been fantastic. The advisors come out to your house and talk you through all the various stages, the risks, what you basically could be confronted with. They've been a great support. They've put us in touch with other people in the same boat as us, so we've got a really nice support network. Some of those people have become good friends, and that's why I'm standing here today, because of the brilliant work that they've done. So fast forward a little bit, 12th of April 2013. My husband and I decided it was only responsible, given that we've got siblings and cousins, to go through genetic screening to determine if either of us had TS as well, and whether there was a risk for other people in our family. 12th of April 2013 is the day I found out that I have TS. I was 35 years old. It didn't change anything, but at the same time for me it changed everything. It was a huge shock to feel like I'd gone through 35 years of my life not knowing this huge secret about myself. Thankfully, I'm a bit further on the journey now, so I can stand here and talk about it without bursting into tears, but it was a huge shock. I'm pretty much symptom-free, I think, apart from Thomas being my main symptom. I've had a kidney scan, and they don't need me to go back for 5 years, so that's good news for me, isn't it? So yes, that was another pretty bleak time, but you'll be pleased to see there's some more pictures in my presentation now, because fast forward to October 2014, that's little Thomas. That was the day he started on the EXIST-3 clinical trial, which, as I'm sure you all know, is investigating everolimus, sorry about my pronunciation, in the treatment of epilepsy associated with TS. So he started with Vigabatrin treatment when he was diagnosed, and he was pretty much seizure-free for the first 6 months of taking that medication, which was fantastic. However, the seizures then started to come back. We introduced more and more anti-epileptic drugs, and I think by this stage he'd maybe tried 6. So the neurologist that we were under was basically of the opinion that we were pretty much at the end of the line. It's notoriously difficult to treat form of epilepsy. He's tried so many drugs. Our only options were going to be the ketogenic diet or vagal nerve stimulation, both of which felt pretty end-of-the-road, bleak options. You don't want your child to have to go through brain surgery, do you? Or have to significantly alter your life to cope with the ketogenic diet, which I understand has had fantastic results, but I also understand is pretty difficult to manage when you've got a busy family life going on. But anyway, we got a new epilepsy doctor in York, and she was in contact with a neurologist in Sheffield, which is one of the centres for the EXIST-3 trial. She put us in touch, and we started the trial on the 9th of October. I've got to say, it's been amazing. Fast. 13th of February 2015 was the day Thomas last had a big seizure. He's still having absences, he still has some sort of activity going on, but he's not having big seizures anymore, and I think that is down to the trial and the brilliant research that you're all doing. It's a huge undertaking for a family to have their child in a clinical trial. It's a 120-mile round trip for us every time we go to the hospital. We're there for potentially 4 hours, having bloods taken. It's huge. There's seizure diaries that we have to complete. The realisation that we were probably a bit in denial about exactly how many seizures Thomas was having initially. He was having up to, we think, about 8 big ones per day before he started on the trial. So to go from that to 0 over the course of that time is just fantastic. So I urge you, please carry on doing the research. It's just fantastic. It's completely changed our lives. So yes, it's just wonderful that he's on the trial. He's doing so well now. So yeah, that's why I'm here today, to talk to you about my experiences. This brings us up to the present day. I mean, you can see how happy he is. He's non-verbal, he's significantly delayed compared to his peers, but he's a happy little boy. He's got a lovely relationship with his big brother. He can walk, he's quite mobile, so the development is mainly delayed in the cognitive sense rather than physical. And apart from today being a huge event for our family, 13th of September, this Sunday, I'm doing the Great North Run on behalf of the Tuberous Sclerosis Association. Anybody here who's not aware, that is a half marathon around the streets of Newcastle up in the north of England. And that's actually the wrong web address, which is a bit embarrassing because I'm going to do a little plug. And if anybody would like to donate somebody to me, that would be fantastic because I'm that close to reaching £2,000, which, as you know, would just make such a difference to the charity. It's actually justgiving.com/Philippa-Ward. And I could bore you all later over dinner with it if you want me to repeat it. So yes, to be continued. At the moment, life's good for us. You know, we've got to the stage where we can kind of accept what's happening to Thomas, we can manage what's going on, we can take one day at a time and be happy about that. We've got great support at home, we've got great support from the charity, and we can now measure what's happening with Thomas in terms of what he can do rather than what he can't do, which is a great place to be. Thank you very much.